When archaeologists first recovered Viking ship timbers from cold northern waters, they expected fragile, waterlogged wreckage. Instead, they found something shocking: planks that were still strong, flexible, and resistant to decay after more than 1,000 years. Some pieces were so well preserved they could still be bent without snapping. This wasn't luck. It wasn't the cold alone. It was the result of a deliberate Viking wood treatment hack so effective it made timber seem almost unbreakable. And, modern builders still struggle to match it. Vikings lived in one of the harshest environments on Earth. Constant rain, salt spray, freezing temperatures, and long winters destroyed untreated wood quickly. Ships slammed into icy waves. Homes faced moisture year-round. Weapons and tools had to survive both water and impact. If their wood failed, people died. So Vikings didn't just use wood, they engineered it. The first step of the Viking wood hack happened in the forest, not the workshop. Trees were felled only in deep winter, when sap levels were at their lowest. This mattered more than Vikings knew at the time. Low sap meant less internal moisture, fewer sugars for fungi, tighter wood fibers, and slower decay. One of the most overlooked Viking techniques was saltwater soaking. Logs destined for ships, docks, or coastal structures were dragged into shallow seawater and left there for weeks, or even months. This did something remarkable. Salt displaced fresh water inside the wood. Minerals penetrated deep into the fibers. Rot-causing organisms were killed, and the wood became denser and more stable. Instead of swelling and shrinking wildly, the timber hardened. This process, called mineralization, gave Viking wood a toughness modern pressure treatments rarely achieve. It's one reason Viking ships flexed in heavy seas instead of snapping apart. Next came fire, but it was carefully controlled. Vikings lightly charred the surface of timber using torches, hot coals, or heated iron plates. This wasn't about burning wood for show. It created a thin, carbonized layer that acted like armor. Charring repelled water, killed insects and larvae, slowed fungal growth, hardened the surface, and increased impact resistance. Carbonized wood behaves differently. It doesn't absorb moisture easily, and it doesn't crack the same way untreated wood does. In combat ships and longhouses, this mattered immensely. The wood wasn't brittle, it was tough. Here's where the Viking hack truly separated itself from anything modern builders do. After charring, Vikings saturated the wood with hot natural resins and oils. These included pine resin, birch tar, animal fats, and linseed oil. The mixture was heated until it flowed easily, then brushed or poured onto warm wood. Heat opened the pores, and resin flowed deep inside. When it cooled, it didn't just coat the surface, it hardened inside the grain. This created a flexible internal seal that repelled water, absorbed shock instead of cracking, prevented internal rot, and stayed effective for decades. Modern sealants sit on top of wood. Viking resin treatments became part of the wood itself. That's the difference. Instead of installing treated wood immediately, Vikings left it outdoors. The sun hardened the resins, the wind dried excess moisture, the cold tightened the fibers, salt air continued mineralizing the grain. This environmental cycling locked the treatment into place. The wood emerged tougher, darker, and far more durable than when it started. By the time it was used, it had already survived the worst conditions nature could throw at it. The Viking wood hack wasn't just chemical, it was structural. They avoided rigid fasteners whenever possible, and relied on overlapping planks, wooden pegs that expanded when wet, and joints that allowed controlled movement. Instead of resisting stress, Viking structures absorbed it. Ships bent with waves, buildings shifted slightly with frost and thaw. Stress that would crack modern lumber simply passed through Viking wood harmlessly. The evidence still exists. Viking ships that have remained intact after 1,000 years underwater, longhouse beams that are still load-bearing today, and dock pilings that outlast modern treated posts. It's kind of amazing when you think about it, right? Wood from centuries ago, treated the Viking way, is actually stronger now than modern lumber after just a few decades. Modern pressure-treated wood, well, that usually lasts around 30 to 60 years, but Viking-treated wood, it endures for centuries. So, why did this Viking method disappear? Honestly, it was just too slow, way too labor-intensive, really seasonal, and, well, pretty much impossible to mass-produce. The Vikings didn't have labs, pressure tanks, or any kind of synthetic coatings. What they did have was observation, experience, and a deep respect for the limits of their materials. Their wood seemed unbreakable because in many ways, it almost was, a forgotten hack that's still undefeated by time.